to the members of the audience, to my colleagues at the head table, the political leader of the UNC, the chairman of tonight's proceeding, Senator Wade Ma. I noticed one people, one voice there in the audience tonight, and of course the constituents of Tunapuna. 2 weeks ago, I made my maiden speech on the UNC platform, and what a delight it was for me to begin the process of unity, which is what I'm all about. Tonight, I want to continue that process, but more so, I want to look at why is it opposition unity remains a challenge. I have heard a lot said about opposition not being a viable force to the alternative PNM, and this is absolutely not true. If there's one thing that has always been said about the UNC administration while it governed this country, is that it was the best administration that this country has ever seen. And why was this? Why do you think it was the best? And why do you think the leadership of Mr. Pandey was the best? Very simple. The UNC administration understood that when you come out of colonialism, you have to change the operations. In a colonial structure, it's about the top-down model. It's about people at the top. It's about the rich. It's about the British elitist system. It's about the 10%. That's what the PNM maintained. When the UNC got into government, it shook that structure completely. It focused on the people at the bottom. And why I am saying this to you, for you to understand the importance of this, is that when you come out of colonialism, that is what was supposed to happen. So it took us a good 30 plus years before we saw this happen. And to that end, I want to thank the UNC for articulating and demonstrating to us what a bottom-up model means. It means that you give your resources to the people at the bottom first. It means that when you have contracts, you give it to the small man first. And that is what the UNC did. And I want to congratulate the UNC for that. Now, when I was asked by Mr. Dukaran to join the COP after I had left the PNM, I was very impressed with the one thing he said to me. Two concerns I had. Were you committed to the bottom-up model of governing? He assured me yes. And the second thing that I asked is, do you carry any dust on your heart with respect to the people of the UNC, the leadership of the UNC? Do you have any venom in your heart? Because you cannot govern a country, Trinidad and Tobago, with any kind of hate or venom in your heart. I asked that question because it was important to me. I personally have carried no dust on my heart with respect to anyone. Unfortunately, when I was offered the opportunity to be a senator, to begin the process of unity between the UNC and the COP, much to my surprise, I saw not just venom, but it was raging in the bowels of the executive of the COP. And this concerned me immensely, and this is holding up our process right now. We have to understand and we have to demand that people who choose to take leadership, you saw how many times over and over Mr. Pandey has been able to forgive and move on. You saw how many times over and over gestures have been made from the UNC to the COP to begin the process of unity, and once again it has been stymied by some person's personal issue. I've heard things like, oh, Mr. Dukaran was booed in 2006. Well, recently in the COP National Assembly in July, Mr. Pandey was booed. Do we still hear about this? No, he has not been able to hold on to this. The thing is, what is holding up the unity is people's personal issues. And I must tell you, I have no patience for this kind of thing. Our country is at this point on the brink of despair. Our children have lost hope. So when we have people who want to personalize and say that that they were so wounded and hurt, I can't, as a psychologist, I find this troubling, because you're asking for leadership of a country and you are wounded by being booed. Let's be for real. I think we need to get on with the business of what it takes to sit and talk. I was also told that as a deputy political leader, I had no business sitting with Mr. Pandey and having any discussion around unity. But of course, we see Mr. Dukaran having discussions with the deputy political leader of the UNC, and that is not an issue. I am personally telling you. It is not easy taking on the PNM, and don't underestimate the power of the PNM. The PNM understands how to win elections. They don't know how to govern. The UNC has that down pat. The UNC can govern well. But PNM knows how to win elections, and Mr. Eddie Hart from this very constituency admitted that Abu Bakar's claim that the PNM had engaged in all kinds of unsavory practices, blocking people from voting in the last 2 elections, that they were in fact true. And I'm telling you, this is what we are up against. So when people talk about Mr. Pandey being this aggressive type, you can't be a pussycat taking on the PNM. Let's understand this. You have to be a fighter, you have to be a lion, you have to be strong. You can't be shaking and trembling and head bobbing and all these antics that I have seen. And so you gotta be strong. And so when we hear about Mr. Pandey being aggressive, hello, I have lived in the bowels of the PNM as a youth. I can tell you, you need this type of personality to take on what lies ahead. But let me just emphasize one other thing here today. Right now, the only function of a divided opposition is to keep the PNM in government. Do you all understand this? Yes. Do you all understand that the COP has 148,000 votes? Yes, it got 140,000 votes. But it is spread out over 41 constituencies. And as a result of that, you need a minimum of 8,000 votes in every constituency. The PNM, the COP has roughly 3,500 to 4,000 votes in every constituency, which means that the COP on its own can never get into government. Do you understand this? Yeah. You need 22. The UNC votes are concentrated in 22 constituencies. And you need a minimum of 21 constituencies to win in order to get into government. So without the 21 constituencies which the COP cannot, we will never as an opposition get into government. So I am asking the supporters of the COP who are listening tonight, understand this, it's going to come down to this. We are going to have to choose. If there is no unity from the top, we have to unite from the bottom. But if there is no unity, you have to choose the party that stands the best chance of getting into government. And that, my friends, happens to be the UNC. There's no other way. Yes, the one challenge that the UNC faces is the ability to manage conflict. But as a psychologist, I can tell you, managing conflict is something you can learn in 5 sessions. All they have to want to do at the executive level of the UNC is to want it and to sit and to work at it. That's easy to do. The philosophy is right in the UNC. We saw it. It's a bottom-up philosophy. It's a people first. The commitment, the number of votes in the 22 constituencies, it's there. It's right there. If we can get back into government to correct the wrongs of this country, there is no way we can get to do that if we are disunited. However, I want to say this. If there is no unity from the bottom to the top, we can do it at the bottom. Each and every one of you. Each and every one of you, every one of us, you go door to door in the street and take another street that you live nearby and go and you explain to the people what's at stake here. We have a reckless, destructive, runaway, loose government that spend our money. We cannot go through another 5 years with this. So we are counting on you, and you walk out of here tonight, what you have to do. And I want you to understand something, people in opposition, in particular you, the UNC, be proud of your accomplishments. You did a lot to take on the PNM and win in 2000, a party that engaged in such dishonest and disingenuous electioning for its lifetime. Be proud of what you were able to accomplish, and let's take it from there. I believe at this point our children are counting on us. So I'm not here to cry stale tears and to be bitter about anything that happened in the past among opposition forces. Whatever it is. It is time to get together, to unite and to beat the PNM. It's our only hope for solid, unified opposition. Good night and thank you.